me? Did you need a little inside time? You did? Okay, you can have a little inside time. You can stay in my room. Welcome back to Wife of the Party. This week's episode is so, I don't know how to say, my brain goes awesome, but it's not really awesome. It's awesome to see Amanda. Amanda's my friend, good friend. She's been a friend of mine for 17 years, long time. She's been on the podcast before with Jocelyn. She and Jocelyn are both from Montana. And Amanda had an interesting pandemic in that she got bit in the face by a pit bull. Really scary. So she actually called me and said, I have a story for you. And would you like to podcast about it? And I said, of course, obviously. It's a real testament of how someone handles crisis and tragedy and adversity. She breaks down the whole incident and how she handled it, and it's really kind of amazing. I'm glad to say that she's okay. And if you're not watching this podcast, she's beautiful. You have to really look for the scars from this bite. But my God, how lucky is she? So I was really grateful she wanted to come and share her story with me. We also talk about something else she did in the pandemic, which was she bought a vacation home, a second home that she's now Airbnb-ing. And I've always been really curious about how that works. So we talk about that too. We talk about growing up in Montana and the juxtaposition between growing up in Montana and living here. Yeah, so it's a real packed episode, I think. It's got lots and lots in there. She's such a lovely, beautiful person inside and out. I feel really lucky to have her as a friend. So I hope you enjoy this episode when I'm talking to my friend Amanda. She is so happy in college. She's probably too happy in college. She's it's a weird place to be right now for me because in senior year, I didn't stay in her business at all.
Yeah.
But the way schools work nowadays is parents have a portal so they can just like check in and see how things are going. And I checked on Georgia maybe once a semester. I was like, let me just see how our grades are going.
Mm-hmm.
Grades are fine. I don't care. We're a pass-fail family. I don't need straight A's.
Yeah.
Are you passing?
Yeah.
Great.
You're going to class. Right.
Yes. I just checked. I know that some parents are on that stupid portal like daily. What homework do you have? What do you have going on? What did you do about that test? I wasn't like that. But in college, you have no access to anything, including your child. Like I can't get her on the phone.
Yeah.
She's so busy. And so I feel really like out in the dark, not like that I need to be in control, but just that I need to make sure she's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And she's telling me she's okay. But the nature of the teenager is a liar, you know?
Yeah.
They'll tell you they're okay.
Yeah.
And then someone calls 911 and you woke up in the middle of the night with some bad issue.
And I was an idiot my freshman year of college.
Oh.
Idiot.
Who wasn't?
Yeah. I was like, freedom.
Everybody was.
Mm-hmm.
So, like these days, they have to start figuring out housing for September now. So I didn't even know that. Another mom was like, so how's the housing search going for Georgia? And I was like, yeah, what?
Yeah.
What you talking about?
Like, she's in a house. She's good.
I was like, we just moved her in her dorm, like the end of September. And so I called her and I went, listen, I have a list of mom questions. Just hold your verbal eye roll and know that you're just going to put me at ease. I'm not trying to be controlling. I just need to know where you are with these things. One of them was housing.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, oh, I got it. And I went, I'm going to need a little more information than I got it because I'm paying for it. So what do you got? Do you need me to fill out an application? Do you need credit card? Do you need anything? Do you need help looking at places? I'm already looking with my friends. I've already got it figured out, but I have no idea what that means. No clue. So
she's going to live off campus.
I have no clue. So they have options of on-campus non-freshman residents where they're like a 4-bedroom apartment with like full kitchen, it's really like an apartment with 4 bedrooms. And it's in the middle of campus. I'm like, that's brilliant.
I love that idea.
But I have no idea. I have no idea.
I got it.
Mom, I got it. But the problem is I did got it when I was a freshman, did you? I
Yeah.
mean, I handled my shit.
But I had a different situation. My parents didn't pay for my school. So I literally had to get it.
Yeah,
I
same.
had to know where I was living because I paid for it.
Yeah, it's a good point. I
Yeah.
paid for it too.
Yeah. So it's totally different. I had to be in control of my finances because I didn't have any help.
Yes. I had some help. My dad helped me, and I had a Pell Grant, and I had a job.
I had a Pell Grant to pay for school, but as far as housing, but I just had a job. I just paid. And then so I lived with Jocelyn
Yeah.
in a little apartment right outside of campus with all students, and
Yeah.
I could walk to school.
Yeah.
So I did have it, but
Yeah. But you figured it out.
yes, exactly.
So I keep thinking, well, she's going to figure it out. And guess what? If she doesn't figure it out, that's a lesson too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. It's hard though it's not hard to let go. I have no problem letting go. I just it's a big transition from like from living in my house and she was never home when she was here. She was always with her friends. I can't believe you've known her since she was so little. You're going to die when you see her. She's so tall.
I think I met her when she was 1 or 2.
Yeah, little.
And
really
little. And I know Isla when she was like this.
Well, she
at her
had
baby shower.
Georgia had to be like 1.5 because we started playing tennis before I got pregnant.
Yeah.
And then so she had to be because I had Isla when Georgia was 2.
Yeah.
So that's crazy, Amanda.
I know.
That's so crazy. I'm so glad I have you as a friend, and I'm so sorry I don't see you more often.
It's okay. Well, I didn't really see anybody during the pandemic, so
nobody did.
We just moved to like Arrowhead because we bought that house. We just lived up there because we're done with LA.
I don't blame
We just
you.
got to get out of here.
That's a different podcast. I want to do 2 with you.
Okay.
I want to do one about what you came for. Okay. I want to do one about Lake Arrowhead because I'm super fascinated. But I want to separate them.
Okay.
What happened to you? Why are you here today? Tell me the story.
Okay. So I'm going to start with we've had pork chop for years, our little chihuahua. We wanted to get a second. So one of my girlfriends that's an actress reached out to me. There is a rescue group in town called Animal Hope and Wellness, and they work with extreme abuse cases.
Oh.
So my little puppy, Max, at the time his name was Clover, he was taken out of a home in California. I think it might have been the San Bernardino area. I don't really remember because the police were called. The children in the home were using him they were shooting a paintball gun at him and using him for target practice.
Oh my God.
Yes. So when the authorities removed him from the home, he had extreme brain damage and he had a tilt to him. So like he couldn't walk straight. He would fall over all the time. And he was tiny. We thought he was 8 weeks, but it turned out he was only like 5. So the rescue group that got him, his foster mom had to teach him how to even drink water, like way too young to be away from his mother.
Oh.
So we had an interview. We were so excited. And they told us, they're like, are you sure you want to take on this puppy? Because we don't know going forward what kind of medical expenses he's going to incur just because he's a messed up little dude.
And is he a Chihuahua?
He looked like a Chihuahua. He was tiny. He was 2 pounds. Now he's about 17 pounds.
Oh, okay.
He's clearly a Jack Russell something. We don't know for sure, but he's got a vertical leap. So he's for sure not a Chihuahua because Chihuahuas don't jump like that.
No.
And he's bigger. He's just a lot bigger than Pork Chop.
Right.
But we didn't know at the time. We just knew it was a mutt. So we adopted him, and he's my special boy. He's a special dog. He does have some needs. So we named him Maximus.
Oh.
He's not a Clover. He's a Maximus. We named him after Gladiator because he's a little fighter. So September 2020, right before the second shutdown in LA, we were going up to the cabin. We were going up to Arrowhead. We go every week because we were doing construction up there on a house that we bought. So we were getting ready to go to the car, and I don't know why. In a moment, I was like, you know what? He's fine. I'm going to let go of his leash, and he's going to go run and get in the car because he's so excited to always go to like Arrowhead. We want to go to the mountains, and he runs to the car.
Oh.
I let go of the leash, and I turned and I started walking to the car, and he circled the car once, and all of a sudden I heard Joe, my husband, who was coming out the door with Pork Chop, yell, "Amanda, Max." And I looked, and he was beelining for the street, and my neighbor, I'm going to call him John, was walking by with his 2 dogs. He has a pit bull boxer mix. And at the time, he was also babysitting his brother's dog, who's a full pit bull. Max ran straight up to them.
Oh, my God.
Straight up to them. And Max was less than 2 at the time. So he probably weighed about 10 pounds. I just reacted, Leanne. I just ran towards them. By the time I got to them, John's dog, Sergeant, had Max around the ribs
Oh no.
on the ground. And then his brother's dog had him by the neck.
Oh no.
I know. Luckily, my neighbor had his dog pinned and was trying to pry open his jaws, because if not, if he would have, he's the one that saved my dog, because if he would have let go, they would have just ripped him in half.
Oh my God.
I know. So by the time I get there, I'm just in a panic and I don't know what to do. I run up and I kneel down and I hit his brother's dog in the head, who lets go. Like, he's not in it to win it. He was like backing up and coming forward and trying to take a bite and then backing up. But Sergeant was not letting go. Like, had that death grip, was not letting go. And my neighbor was pleading, please let go, please let go, please let go. He was not letting go. And so Max had his tongue out and he was panting. And I was like, he's going to die.
Oh my God.
One of my girlfriends had told me a story, because she has a bulldog named Lucy. Lucy got out once and ran out to the street and got in a fight with a pit bull. And she said, pit bulls do this thing where they clamp on and they won't let go. So how I got that pit bull to let go is I grabbed a stick and I poked it in the butt.
Oh my God.
Well, Leanne, I didn't have a stick.
Finger in the butt. Oh my God.
Finger in the dog's butt. After I hit his brother's dog in the head, I went around, I grabbed the tail and I stuck my finger up the dog's butt.
Oh my God.
He let go of Max.
Wow.
But he turned and bit me in the face. Yes. I mean, did I deserve it? I don't know. But he let go of my dog.
But he turned and bit you in the face.
So he got me here. It was just one bite. It was a quick one. He just went chomp. He was just giving me a warning. Like, he really could have messed me up.
Killed you.
Yeah.
He could have killed you.
If he wanted to.
Oh
well, I was just so lucky, happy that it didn't get my eye. Like, that was the first thing the doctor said when I got to the emergency room. She's like, oh my gosh, if it would have been a little bit higher, it would have gotten your eye or even your nose. I guess a nose is really, really hard to reconstruct. But he did a number on my lip. So Joe's getting to us just as this happened. My neighbor tries to get the two dogs because they're going nuts out of there. Joe scoops up Max and he starts running back to the house and he hears, honey, I got bit. I just yell at him. At this point, all our neighbors are out, like in the middle of the street, like watching. And they're like, what can we do? How can we help? How can we help? But I think I was in shock.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So I just start walking to the car and he goes, I think Joe was in shock too. He went and he threw Max inside the house and shut the door. And I said, no. Max has got to go to the hospital. He's got to go to the hospital. And I'm holding my face. I just know there's just blood and I don't know the extent. I never even looked in the mirror, which is weird. I didn't look till after I went to the emergency room. I know. So
because it's scary when you get injured in the face, you don't want to see it.
Yeah. And I really do think, I think my adrenaline was so high anyways, because of what had just happened. It happened so fast.
Yeah.
So he ran back and got Max and he brings me Max and we get into the car. And remember, this is during the pandemic.
Yeah.
So he starts driving. I have Kaiser insurance. So we start driving out to, what's the one that's north on the, do you know, it's the emergency room for Kaiser.
Is it in Woodland Hills?
It's past. No, it's the one that's more, if you're going like to Magic Mountain, it's that one.
Oh, Santa Clarita?
Yes. So he starts driving me up there and he's driving very fast and I'm holding Max and there's blood everywhere, but I don't know if it's my blood or Max's blood. And Max is crying. He's crying and he's got his front paws around my neck.
Oh, he's terrified.
He's terrified and I don't know what's happening with him. And I'm like trying to hold, I mainly remember my lip flapping. There's like a flap.
Oh
like,
my God.
I was like, it's done. But Joe was most concerned about this because this was just, you could see to the bone.
Oh my God.
So much blood. So he takes me and drops me off at the emergency room. And then he takes the dog. Our vet is still in West Hollywood, which is so ridiculous because we lived there for years.
Yeah, right.
So he just knows that vet. So he starts driving over there. At the same time, he's calling friends to go to the emergency room to be with me. But he's not thinking clearly. They won't let anybody in. They wouldn't have even let him in.
Yeah.
It's like the Gestapo to still get into me. So I get there and I'm trying to get in and they're giving me this questionnaire about COVID. They're like, have you been in contact with anyone? And I was telling them I'm bleeding. They take my temperature. There's nobody in the emergency room.
Wow.
Nobody in there. But they still did the whole COVID protocol. And then they get me in there and then they just start cleaning me up, put me on an IV right away. The doctor that was there came in, took a look at me and he's like, I'm going to call somebody else. He's like, we're going to get a surgeon in. He's like, because I'm just scared because of the first question they asked me, which I guess they ask everybody is, was it your dog? Because that's most common. He said 95% of the cases in here, it's somebody's own dog. And they all say, I don't know what happened. My dog has never done anything like this. And I was like, no, it was actually my neighbor's dog. And he goes, I do need to know that the dog is up on its shots. And I was like, okay, I don't know how to even, because my phone's like over there. I was like, I don't know where my husband is. He's somewhere.
Yeah.
Dealing
with your dog.
Yes. And he's like, all right, we'll figure it out. He's like, for the most part, you should be fine. He's like, but we do have to ask. And that was like kind of all they asked about the other dog. They just wanted to know. But he said that nobody gets rabies from dog bites anymore in the United States.
No.
He's like, we just don't, which is good. They still gave me the tetanus shot just to be on the safe side. And they started me on antibiotics and a pain medication because I was in a lot of pain. So I'm waiting for my surgeon. So we had some time to kill, Leanne. So I kept repeating the same joke over and over, which I know now I'm just embarrassed because they would laugh and then they're like, okay, that was funny. The time 3. They go, I go, well, I was attractive for a long time. I guess I'm going to have to work on my personality now. And I kept saying the joke over and over. Well, my face had a good run. I guess I'm just going to really have to work on my personality.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
It's amazing your coping skills that kick in, right? That's how you were coping.
I don't know what they thought of me because I wasn't crying at all. I wasn't hysterical. I was trying to make jokes, trying to lighten the mood. But they were just horrified.
Yeah. Because it's your face.
Yes.
It's not your arm or your leg.
And there was a lot of blood. And they were trying to like keep it all trying to keep it all intact until the surgeon got there. And then she got there and she was lovely. She came in and she just was like, all right, we're just going to start. I got 46 stitches. I was there for a long time.
That's a lot of stitches.
She was very, very, very sweet to me. And then when we were done, I'd been there for hours. She said, I am going to go call your husband. What do you want me to say to him? I said, we asked if my dog's okay. And then I started crying. That was like the first time. And she's so sweet. She's rubbing my lip. She's like, you're a good dog, mama. I'm going to go ask. I go, just make sure that he's okay. Because I had no idea.
Yeah.
I hadn't had any contact. So meanwhile, Joe drives over to West Hollywood. They won't let him into the vet. So he's outside. He still has pork chop. I'm like, why didn't you leave pork chop at home? No, he's like,
right.
It was like his emotional support chihuahua tucked under his arm the whole day. Pork chop went everywhere.
Oh, pork chop.
Max was in there. He had no lacerations. So all the blood was mine.
Oh my God.
They cleaned him up. But he had compressed ribs. So he was in a lot of pain. So you couldn't touch the sides of him at all for weeks.
Oh.
They put him on antibiotics and they gave him pain medication and did like a complete, they checked him out totally, but he was okay.
Yeah.
The little guy's had at least should have died twice already in his short life. Crazy.
Sounds like it. That's crazy.
So Joe drives over to get me. And then we went home and I went up to the cabin and recovered for like weeks.
Wowza.
Yeah, that's my story.
That's a crazy story. I have 8,000 questions, right? How isn't it amazing how your brain kicks in crisis and you remembered what your friend had said about sticking something in the butt of that dog?
I just knew I had to shock the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy how your brain works like that.
Yeah.
We all have that in us, I think. That's crazy because, you know, when you're in the thick of it, you just kind of kicks in.
Totally. And I've had people talk to me about how humans they react in 2 ways to a trauma like that. They either run towards it or they run away. Mm-hmm. Now I know what I am. I didn't know before because it wasn't even like a thought.
Yeah.
Lan. I didn't think this might not be smart to run up to 2 pit bulls wrestling with my dog.
Yeah.
I just did it.
Yeah.
And I got hurt, but
that, you know who you are.
Yeah.
That's very true. Anytime there's a crisis, George's car got stolen recently.
Oh, no.
And I was like, oh, that will not be happening. I will be finding this car. And I found it.
You did?
I did.
Oh
I did.
God.
Well, it wasn't that brilliant. Ford has an app. And every time a car gets put in park, it drops a pin. And I just found it and called 911. I was like, I am looking at my car. What's really funny is I had filed a police report at the North Hollywood Police Department. And the police officer was a lady. And at the end of it, she was like, just got to tell you, big fan. Love your podcast. I was like, thank you. And then when I found the car, I went back to the police department to say, like, what's the procedure? How do I do this so I can claim insurance on it? Because there was some damage on the car. And she looked at me and she goes, look at me. Don't go get that car. Yeah. I know who you are.
You would have got it.
Don't go get that car. And I went, well, that's why I came back here because I was just going to go get the car. And
this is mine. I'm taking it.
She was like, I know you are. I know who you are. Don't go get the car. Here's what you do. Go to the car. Don't get out of your car. She even said to me, she said, I know you probably have a baseball bat in the back of your truck. And I went, I do. And how do you know I drive a truck? Now I'm scared. And I said, I do. She said, don't get out of your car. Even if they're taking your car somewhere else,
just stay in your car.
Stay there.
Do not follow them.
Call 911. Don't get out of your car. And I was like, okay. So clearly I am you. I would
Mhm.
have done the same thing.
Yeah.
If someone was after my dog, I would have
Yeah.
gotten right in the middle of it,
Yeah.
which is in some ways really stupid and in other ways really smart. It just depends on the situation, I think.
Yeah.
Did you know it had to have been this fast when the dog came at you? You didn't even have time to react, did you?
When
the
I got
dog bit you?
No.
Yeah.
Because he just
Immediate.
reacted.
Wow.
He was giving me a warning. Like,
Yeah.
don't touch me.
Figure out of the butt, lady.
Yeah. I was like, well, you gotta let go.
How shocking. And then when you get hurt like that, you don't feel pain.
No.
I
mean, I knew I'd been bit, but I just literally, then I was like, honey, I got bit. And I was just holding, and then I just remember the blood. And then I think I just was in shock. I was just like, I don't even know what to do right now.
had to be in shock. Isn't it amazing how your body does that?
Mm-hmm.
Like how your adrenaline or whatever it is just numbs everything to get you from A to B.
Yep.
And then you get to fall apart when you're at B. You know, some people fall apart before they get to B. But it sounds like you didn't really ever fall apart, maybe. Did you ever have a moment where you were like, oh my God?
I got home from the hospital and I slept and I was in and out. And my sister came down from Ojai and my nephew just to be with me and I remember waking up in the middle of the night and I started sobbing.
Aww.
But I was mainly I was like, I'm never going to look the same. Like
Yeah.
I literally, like it hits, like I am going to be disfigured for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I don't feel that way anymore.
Good, because
I've
I can't
coped with
even
it.
see it.
I had plastic surgery on my lip in January of this year because you have to wait for a long time because it keeps changing.
Yeah.
We might do another pass at it, my plastic surgeon said, but we're going to wait. But this, all I've done is I've gotten some laser treatments and that seems to be working. I'm going to have a scar.
Yeah. I can't really, I'd have to look for it. Like
Okay.
I'd have to really look at
I've
you.
had people do both. People like, oh, what happened to your face? And then other people they're like, I couldn't tell. I really couldn't tell.
Yeah.
It was ideal timing. If you're ever going to get bit in the face, you want to do it when there's a pandemic and you can wear a mask.
Right? And no one
I
can
wore
see
a
it.
mask forever.
Oh my God.
People couldn't even tell I had stitches. I'm
Yeah,
like, yep.
totally.
I covered everything perfectly.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
So you woke up in the middle of the night sobbing. Do you
Yeah.
think some of that was just like, okay, here's where my questions are coming from. I fell during the pandemic. I passed out while walking and hit my face and busted my chin and my nose. And I still have nerve damage from it. I have a big scar here. And I had to go to the emergency room in the pandemic also, September, probably the same time you were there.
Yeah.
And I stayed in the hospital, I think 2 nights because they needed to figure out why I passed out.
Yeah.
Finally figured it out like a month later. But I didn't want to look in the mirror either.
Yeah.
I didn't. And then when I looked in the mirror, I completely disconnected from what I was seeing.
Mm-hmm.
I like put a Band-Aid on it and went on with my day. And when I was working out on Zoom with my friend Sandy and she was like, what happened to your face? And I was like, I fell, whatever, let's work out. And she was like, hold on. What do you mean you fell? And I was like, I just passed out. I'm fine. And she was like, hold on.
Yeah.
You need to go to the hospital. This is like bad. I had 17 stitches in my chin and I had all kinds of busted stuff also, but just my chin, I think my teeth went through my chin because it's on the inside and the outside. I had stitches in both places.
Yeah.
So, but I know what you're talking about with like, I just disconnected from it.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't want to be hurt. I didn't want to be injured. I didn't want my face to be fucked up.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to deal with it. And I think you just are in shock. It's that piece where you just keep moving.
Yeah.
And then
Totally.
when I got to the hospital and I had to, Cedars, unlike your experience, was a madhouse. I waited 7 hours in the waiting room before I even got seen. Yes, it was a madhouse. And they had separated COVID from non-COVID. And I was in the non-COVID waiting room, still waited for 7 hours.
That's crazy.
And then I was in a bed in the hallway and forever, not even in a room. So the doctor kept coming out in the hallway and checking on me and stuff. And he did my stitches in the hallway. And then they put me in a room in like the geriatric ward because they had no rooms. So
that
I
is
was
and then my experience was totally
it's
at Kaiser.
completely different.
I know that at Kaiser they had the COVID separate,
Mm-hmm.
but still, the emergency room, there was nobody there. It was eerie. There's a bunch of people outside. I wasn't sure what they were doing outside.
Loitering?
I don't know.
I don't know. That's weird.
But just me and one other person were in the emergency room, and they kept us totally separated.
All right.
Weird.
Yeah, it's really weird. Yeah, my experience was very different. It was a it was a mess.
Yeah.
They took care of me, took good care. I felt cared for,
Yeah.
but everyone felt frantic. Everyone in the ER felt like I'm going to get it together so that I can present that I have it together. But I'm like, they were like a swan, where the feet are just flying under the water. Because I'd asked my nurse, I said, "Are you busy? It seems like it since I'm in the hallway." And she was like, "It's been like this for months. We just don't have, yeah, I don't know." Anyway, I only say that because I remember feeling that like, just get the dog to the vet. Like you don't even connect to yourself being injured. I wonder if that's normal or abnormal.
I don't know.
And growing up in Montana, I don't know a whole lot about how you grow up, but I think it's a very different mentality than growing up somewhere like California, where you don't react to injury the same way,
I was
right?
fine. I'd like to slap a Band-Aid and go out and play. I was
Exactly.
good. I was always good. And even this, I was like, I'm fine. I'm okay.
We'll be okay.
So it took me I took a really long time I went to saw 2 different plastic surgeons before I booked mine. And finally, when I went and booked mine, and I love mine's in Burbank. His name is Dr. Orloff. And the first thing he did, he sat down, he stared at me for a long time. He goes, "First and foremost, I need to know why it's taking you so long to get this done." He goes, "Because I can tell that you're still in fight or flight." He goes, "And you're not going to work through this trauma until you get it fixed." Because my lip was really jacked up before
It was.
Yes. And I started crying. And at first I was like, "No, I'm fine. I'm fine. I just, and I know part of it was fear that as long as I hadn't touched it, as long as I didn't get it taken care of, that it wasn't going to be permanent. But once I got plastic surgery, I'm just going to look like this. And I was so fearful about what the outcome was going to be.
Yeah.
So it took me a long time.
What a good doctor.
Oh, he was great. And
that he said that. He took care of your emotional piece.
Yeah. He goes, you just need to just do it. He goes, this fear is holding you back and is killing you. And it's going to you're not going to get past this trauma in your life until you look it straight in the face and do something about it. And I was like, all right, I'll do it. Because he was
amazing.
right. He was right.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll just keep putting it off. And I can just always wear a mask. I'll just wear a mask.
That would be scary, though. I see completely why you would do that.
Yeah. I was so fearful. I was like, that's going to be permanent.
Yeah, if you don't ask the question, you don't have to live with the answer.
Right.
Right? How scary.
Yeah.
This week's episode is brought to you again by Manscaped. You know I love this company. It's the holidays. It's so hard sometimes to buy gifts for a man that he'll really like. I don't think you could go wrong with anything that Manscaped makes or produces or sells. It's just such a great quality company. Every shampoo, conditioner, every shaving gel, every shaving device I've ever used from them has been awesome. I can't say enough good things about this company. I use their products myself. I'm not a girly girl. I kind of like musky smells for my body wash. I use their body wash. I love it. Their best-selling product is the Performance Package 4.0. It's the top of every man's wish list. In that package, there is a lawnmower body trimmer. There is a weed whacker for ear and nose hair. They have crop preservers, which is ball deodorant, a crop reviver, which is a ball toner that gets him smelling nice down there. It's a great gift idea for the man in your life. You're also getting yourself a deal with the Performance Package. If you order now, you receive their 2 free gifts, the Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. I mean, that's like everything. There are also picks for stocking stuffers if you do a stocking also. There's the Ultra Smooth Kit, the Manscaped Signature Body Wash, plus 2-in-1 shampoo. I like all of that myself. The Shears 2.0 Luxury 4-piece Nail Kit, Crop Mops Ball Wipes, Manscaped's new Preserve Cologne, sexy yet delightful. These formulations are all vegan, cruelty-free, dye-free, sulfate-free, and paraben-free. So you know his manhood will be in good hands. I just really don't know how you could go wrong with any of these gifts from Manscaped for your man for this holiday season. Make sure you hurry to their site to ensure these wild gifts show up before the holiday season. And while you're at it, get 20% off plus free shipping by going to manscaped.com/WOTP. That's right. You save 20%. Get 20% off plus free shipping by going to manscaped.com/WOTP. 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com/WOTP. Cheers to rocking the best gifts of all this season. A gift for him, but really, it's a gift for you. How was your neighbor through this whole thing?
Little contact. He was very freaked out the first day, of course. Like he left a note on my car, and then my husband talked to one of our other neighbors, and she went over and made sure that the dog was up on its shots, but of course it was. Mm-hmm. And then he mainly talked to my husband a lot. He just wanted to make sure that I was okay. The dogs were both okay, because I mean, his dog was in a fight too.
Yeah.
I think he was really worried that I was going to get his dog taken away, and I had no intention of doing that. It was our fault. My dog ran up to their dog. They were in the street.
Right.
That's it. And I don't wish any ill will, and then we haven't really had any contact.
Right. My goodness. I can't imagine what he must have felt like. I mean, not that he's the one that is the quote victim here, but
his dog's still bit a person.
Oh, another person?
No, me though.
Oh, yes,
I'm saying
exactly.
And so I was even like, a lot of people said, well, at the emergency room, they got the dog's information, right? And I said, no, they didn't ask any. Like, animal control was not called, nothing. So I don't know. I don't know if I would have pursued it, but like I said, I was not going to pursue it because it was our fault.
Yeah.
My dog ran up to my dog's a little idiot. I don't know what I was thinking. Like, dude, you ran up to 2 pit bulls. What are you thinking?
It's that small dog mentality, man.
God.
I'm telling you. Every time I walk one of my mastiffs, the problem dogs are small.
Yeah.
The big dogs are like, oh, hey, game, recognized game. And the small dogs are like, I can take you. I got you.
Yes.
You and me in the back. And I'm like, Mac weighs 150 pounds.
That's facts.
I mean, a 70-pound dog, Mac could break in half. Yeah. I'm like, and it's the little ones. It's the 15. I'd say the 25-pound and less dogs are so aggressive with my dogs. And I mean, when we used to live over in our other house, there was people walk dogs here, but there seems to be more space, and I don't really run up on dog much. Yeah. But in my other neighborhood, these small dog owners would just let their dog off a leash, walking the dog off a leash on purpose, and let the dog come to my dog. And I'm like, are you an idiot?
Yeah.
Because my dog got one bite, and then it would be my dog's fault. Mm-hmm. But your dog has no leash at all. Like, you had a leash and went, oh, he's going to run straight. You had a thought process. There were people in my neighborhood.
No, and I will never, ever let my dog off leash again. Never, ever, ever. Learn my lesson.
It's a hard lesson to learn because Mona, I used to walk Mona without a leash all the time. She never left my side, and she had no aggression. And she would have come up to the pit bulls like, hey, what's up? Want to play? Want to sniff my booty? Awesome. I love it. You know, that was my question too. Was Maximus being aggressive or being friendly?
No, he was being aggressive. He ran. I think he was overly excited about getting in the car and going. He loves to let's go on a trip. We're going to get in the car. Oh my God. And I don't know what happened. Because if I take him on a walk and we're on a leash, he wants nothing to do with other dogs.
Right.
I think also because it was right in front of my house, maybe he was being territorial, because he's super territorial if somebody approaches us, and he's always like, there's a mailman here.
Yeah.
I'm going to kill him. So he ran up aggressively. I mean, he didn't do anything because they just went womp.
Yeah. They put him in his place. Down. Well, thank God they didn't really hurt him. I mean,
thank God.
A rib injury is terrible, but it's not.
No, they literally, like I said, my neighbor really did save his life, because if he would have let go, they would have just ripped him in half. The fact that they both had him.
Yeah.
I know. I can't imagine. It would have been terrible.
It would have been terrible. So what do you think this did to Joe?
Oh, he was beside himself. I think he's okay. He was scared. It really frightened him. Mm-hmm. On both aspects. He didn't want to lose his puppy, and he definitely didn't want to lose his wife.
Yeah.
Which I never even thought about that. I had, so after it happened, I had a couple friends come over and visit me in the backyard, because remember it was COVID. And one of them walked in and started crying. And I was like, oh, it's because the way I looked. She's like, no. She's like, you could have died. She's like, if it would have gotten your neck. And I was like, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, right?
I was like, what? She was like, you had to think about it. If it would have been like one, I was like, damn it. I didn't even think.
Yeah. But you could have. It's very serious.
Yeah. Or if he would have decided to bite me more than once.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's got a very powerful jaw, those dogs.
Yeah. You know what? Pit bulls they're like machines. Uh-huh. And they're not all bad dogs.
No, not at all.
They're great dogs. But the mechanics of the mechanics of that breed is very specific.
Well, and the fact that that death grip, they will not let go.
Yeah.
Like he was pleading, please let go, please let go, please let go, and trying to pry his jaw open. And he was like, nope, I'm going to end this little dog.
Yeah. It's just, yeah.
And I get it too. Dogs are pack animals. He was protecting his pack. They were on a little walk. That's their pack. My dogs get like that too. We have a little pack.
Yep.
He felt attacked by Max.
And, that's the thing too, is people don't understand that about dogs. Dogs are pack animals, and they're just being dogs.
Yeah.
Maximus didn't really do anything wrong. He was just being a dog. And Sergeant wasn't doing anything wrong.
No.
He was just being a dog. It
Yeah.
just happened to be really bad.
Yeah.
That's awful.
I know. What a story though, huh?
What a story. It's a crazy story.
I know. Like, but who gets bit in the face by a dog?
You do.
I know.
I got bit in the face by a dog once too.
You did?
I did. I got bit in the face by a chow.
Oh, wow.
I was at someone's house. We were having like a group meeting for something for work. And this person's chow sat next to me. And I was like, oh, hey, how you doing? And I reached out to pet it, and it growled. And I went, okay, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to ignore you. But it was like casing me. It was staring at me. And I knew what was happening. It was like hyper focused on me. And so I moved away like this. I just shifted in my chair, and it didn't move. And when I looked at it again, it bit me in the face. And
Jesus,
I nothing like you.
Right.
I had scratches.
Okay.
And like it had just scratched me. No punctures, but just kind of, it was definitely a warning.
Yeah.
But scary, I literally just turned to look at it again, and it jumped off the floor into the chair and bit me. And the owner didn't really know what to do about it. And I was like, if you are in tune with your dog at all and you saw that behavior, you would have moved the dog.
Yeah.
I would have, if my dog does that, when they get super still and lock eyes, they're hunting.
Yeah.
That's how they hunt. So if you don't have an instinct about dog behavior, I think you should maybe study up.
Yeah, totally.
Because mine could have totally been prevented.
Yeah.
And I was like, the whole time, instead of listening, I was like, should I get up and move? If I get up and move, the dog's going to jump at me. So I'm just going to be really still. So I literally just turned my head, and he jumped at me.
But you knew it was coming. Ugh.
I knew it was coming. And I knew there was not a lot. The owner should have taken that dog and put it in another room.
I now know, and I've always kind of known. I mean, my little dogs they're tiny, but still, I'm like, dogs are always dogs. Like, and I love dogs. I love my dogs. Even the dogs, even after this happened, I now am always aware they're always dogs. They're always, it's an animal.
Yeah.
And we need to all be careful.
Yes.
Like, I mean, the emergency room told me they're like 95% of people, it's their own dog. And they always say the same thing. I don't know what happened. It's never done anything like this.
Right. Right. It's the truth, though.
They're animals.
They are. And I have two very big, like horse-like animals. Anytime, especially little kids come over, I am all over those two dogs because I mean, the kids don't live in my house anymore. All my kids are adult-sized people, and they're very gentle and kind, but they are still dogs.
Yeah.
I'm like, if that toddler starts running, that looks a lot like, I don't know, a little pig.
Yeah.
Something they might hunt. And right. I mean, my dogs are big. They're like, oh, look at the piglet running through the yard. Let's get him.
They're animals. Yeah.
Terrify. I have a 5-year-old nephew who is terrified sometimes of Mac, because Mac is, 158 pounds.
Big dog.
And and they're eye level with each other. So I have to be mindful. I know Bert sometimes just lets people walk in and out of our house, and I'm like, it's just not a good practice. It's not a good practice, because if you're present, the dog knows whether or not that person's allowed in.
Yeah.
And if you're not, then that dog may just decide today's the day. I've had enough.
And they get protective too. They're territorial.
That's why you have them sometimes. I have my dogs so that nobody comes in my house that I don't want in my house. So you can't allow random people to come in. That teaches them then random people can come in. So what are you telling them? Dogs are very kind of cut and dried, I think. They don't do well with mixed messages.
No.
They get confused. That is a crazy story, Amanda. So you have one more surgery, you said?
We're just watching it. It keeps changing. I had this done in January, and he's like, I might take one more pass at it. I don't know. He goes, I don't want to keep cutting because the lip takes so long to heal.
It does.
There's a lot of scar tissue in it still. I'm trying to break down the scar tissue. And then he also recommended he said, find a really good tattoo artist and just get my lip line. Try to get my lip line recreated a little bit because I'm just kind of missing part of it.
Uh-huh. Interesting.
Yeah, that might be another option, he said.
How do you feel about all this? How do you feel about it?
I'm happy that it turned out the way it turned out, which I know sounds weird. It could have been a lot worse.
Yes.
It could have been a lot worse. I could have been a lot worse off. Max could have ended up dead. So I'm happy. People are like, do you regret it? I'm like, no. I would have, if I knew that the result was going to be the same, I would have done the same thing.
Right. It's good that you feel that way. I think a lot of people wouldn't feel that way. It's a good perspective to have because what can you do? You can't go back and change it.
No.
You can't decide to keep Max on the leash and get him in the car.
No.
You know, that would be the only thing you could have done differently.
Right.
Really.
I still would have ran up. I still would have done what I did.
You still would have put your finger in the butt.
I still would have done it.
I'm going to remember that. You know, my grandpa always said this thing where men back in the day, all men wore hats.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, if a dog's ever coming at you, just take your hat off and make the dog smell the hat and it completely distracts them. And then they'll get off whatever they're doing. He did it all the time.
Damn it. If only I had a hat.
If only you'd had a hat. I don't know if it would have worked if they're already clamped on you.
That's true. That's true.
But if they're coming at you, he was like, just take your hat off and then put it down and they'll just go, oh, hey, a hat. Let me smell that. What's that about? Wait, what was I doing? I'm so confused.
Dogs.
I know, right? Oh my gosh. That's just such a crazy story. I can't even really. I'm so glad you're okay. I'm glad you're okay in every way.
Thank you.
And I mean, what a great guy your doctor was to say you're still in fight or flight. You need to.
And he was right. He was like, you really need to. He's like, you're avoiding it, and it's not good for you. He goes, I can see it. He goes, I can see it. Even he goes, I can see your energy. He goes, you really need to. You need to do something about this. And I was like, what? And I started crying. Then I was embarrassed because I'm crying in front of a stranger. I just met him.
That's okay.
I was like, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, it's amazing too what you hold emotionally to be able to is again, I think the way you were probably brought up is the same as me. I'm okay. I'm good. Slap a Band-Aid on it. Keep playing, keep working, keep whatever you're doing. Just move on. But
we're that old. I'll give you something to cry about.
I heard that a bunch. Yes. But I mean, the negative of that is you do end up holding on to a lot of feelings that you're just not used to being able to have. Sometimes I think, like when I fell, I didn't even recognize that I needed care. You know what I mean? It didn't even occur to me. I mean, part of I went, oh, that looks bad. That might need stitches. But it's COVID. I'm not going to get stitches in COVID. Yeah. Nah, forget it. It'll heal fine. I'll get a butterfly bandage. Like you can put a butterfly bandage on your lip and have it half in my mouth. But my brain was just like, you're fine. This is fine. In the grand scheme of things, you're fine. And yeah, I don't think I really connected to the emotion of it until a lot later. When the scar started developing and the numbness never came back. Like I feel like I have Novocaine in my lip all the time.
So mine is, I'm like, it's stiff from here to here.
Yeah. Do you feel like Novocaine or can you feel in it or?
Yeah. So I think it's a lot of scar tissue. Yeah. And it just feels kind of hard.
Yeah. Mine feels just like Novocaine. It doesn't feel hard. It actually feels like limp.
Oh, no,
like,
mine.
I sometimes feel like I can't control it entirely. And when I smile, it doesn't move. Like this, see?
Can you suck out of a straw? I still have a hard time drinking out of a straw. Have you tried doing it lately?
No, I don't really drink out of a straw much. I have to try.
You have to try. It's funny to watch me do it.
Do you have to do it from the side?
Yes. It doesn't really work.
What a good attitude you have, though. You know how many people would be completely devastated with something altering their face? Your face is like, it's not everything, but it is what people see first is your face.
And I've had my moments. I think I said something to my sister recently. I was like, I feel like I look like the Joker. And she put me in my place. She's like, will you stop? You look fine. You can barely tell. And I was like, I know. Sometimes I feel like I just get a little like, just kind of want to hide it.
Self-conscious. Yeah. I think that's completely normal and natural.
And if I did if I do lip liner and lipstick, you really can't see it. But I'm just not really a lip liner, lipstick kind of a girl.
Not every day.
No.
You know, you're going to the Oscars, okay, but I'm going to the grocery store.
I don't want to do it.
I'm not doing it. No way.
More
I'm
of a
the same.
lip gloss kind of a person.
Same. Yeah. And you know what? You're beautiful.
Well, thank you.
You've always been beautiful. And I swear when you came in the gate, I was like, you get bit in the face? And you went, here. I was like, oh my God, now that you pointed out,
yeah,
I can see it. But how was Jocelyn in this whole thing? Was she freaked out?
Well, he called her when he was trying to get somebody to go to the emergency room because he wasn't thinking clearly. He called her, but she didn't pick up. And then he called another friend and he drove to the emergency room, but they wouldn't let him in. We weren't,
my God.
We were just,
Yeah.
Which is so sweet that he even drove there because he was freaked out about COVID, but he actually drove to the emergency
That was sweet.
room. And then he talked to Jocelyn later that day. And of course she was like, okay. And he's like, and then, Amanda stuck her finger in the dog's butt. And she was like, what, excuse me? Repeat that, Joe. And then she had hysterics. She goes, okay, tell me that part of the story.
Wow.
Then she came and saw me. And she was relieved. She's like, you look great. She goes, and I had a couple of friends say that, like, we were expecting so much worse. When you hear bit in the face, big dog, 46 stitches. And then she's like, you're going to be great.
You're going to be fine.
Yeah. So she was great.
That's good.
Yeah.
Your sister's in Ojai?
She lives out in Ohio. She's a school teacher out there.
She is?
Yeah.
I love your sister. She's a lovely person.
Yeah.
Is she's super happy?
Yes. They love it out there.
They do?
Mm-hmm.
How long she been there?
Years. They lived there for a long time. Yeah. She loves it. My brother-in-law runs the Ojai olive oil grove. Yeah.
Wasn't he a musician?
He still is.
He still is.
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Ojai olive oil.
Yeah. I know Wilder's 13 now. It's getting so big. I know.
Is he? How old is he?
13.
Oh my God.
I know.
Can't even be possible.
How old's Isla now?
16.
Jeez.
She's 16. Every bit of 16. Although she's not wanting to drive.
Oh.
She's a little nervous to drive. Which concerns me because now that I have had Georgia and Georgia was like, TikTok 16, drive, give me my car. I think that correlates to adulting a little bit, like almost directly. Like your excitement to taking on that kind of scary responsibility of driving. Georgia has taken on this scary responsibility of adulting. And I know kids her age that are now freshmen in college who didn't drive or didn't want to drive or didn't want to drive until they were like at the end of their senior year. They're much more hesitant in their adulting. I think they're just late bloomers sort of. And
I think a lot of that is going on. I have a nephew he's 16 and he doesn't want anything to do with it. And I've had other friends telling me the same thing. Like it's a different, because I was the same. I was like, Georgia, I'm like, I want my driver's license, freedom.
Yeah.
But I think this younger generation is not.
They're anxious.
Yeah.
I think the pandemic did a number on that, especially
so
that little pocket of age. Like when
so
you're, kindergarten, first, second grade, I think you're not developing certain social skills that you are developing in middle school and high school. And I know when I went to orientation for Georgia's college, their parent support staff said they're seeing like a 2-year delay in the freshmen in their maturity, that they can't keep up with simple things like their keys in a different way, something really basic, that they're just not functioning because they were at home in that time in their life when they should be out driving or partying or whatever.
Yeah.
And they just didn't do it. So they missed this key step. And now they're having to learn it, while they're in college. And it's just very overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I worry about that a little bit for Isla because she's a late birthday. She's a July birthday. So she's young anyway in her class. Right. And she's just, she's like, she wants to, but she's afraid. So we took one learner's permit test and she failed it. But almost everybody I know failed their first time.
Okay.
And I keep saying that. Everybody failed. Georgia failed her first time. Everybody failed their first time. I know one person who passed the first try. But I haven't gotten her to sign up again. I've set up 2 more appointments and she's like, I have drum practice. And then I'm like, you have plenty of time, but she doesn't want to go. So I don't know.
And did you guys teach her to drive? Did you take her out? And my dad would take me out on the back roads in Montana. He's like, this is how you do this and this and this. Did you guys do that?
Yeah, sort of. We did that in Georgia. Every time
Okay.
we go home in Georgia, my dad has a big dually.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'd have the girls drive the dually, and Georgia loved it. And Isla is terrified of it. Like she drives it like a little old lady, like, oh
Mhm.
my God, I'm going to hit something. And Georgia was like, vroom. So we taught them to drive there. They've been driving golf carts and like, what are those things called? Like Polaris
Mhm.
off-road, which is all sort of driving.
Yeah.
I think if you get the basics of like how a car works before you get it out in the street, it's a lot easier.
Right.
But obviously it's hard to do that here.
I know. I was like, I don't know how parents do it here.
Luckily we had that, 2 weeks in Georgia every year that Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
my child Georgia would drive. And then when we came here, I did this with her. The first time we were driving with the permit, I said, I need to tell you this. You don't know anything about driving.
Yeah.
And I know you don't want to listen to your mother. It's completely fine. But this is an area where you don't know anything. So you have to listen to me. And if you're not listening to me, we will park this car.
Yeah.
That's your option. And she's got it. And she was awesome. She was actually really easy for me to teach. Bert, I thought, was going to have a heart attack every time he got in the car with her for like a year and a half. He was like, I just can't ride with her. I just can't ride with her. She's going to kill us. She's going to kill us. And I was like, she's actually fine. She's fine.
She's learning.
You are the problem. You need to just, for a while, he would sit in the back seat and go, hey, Georgia, are you going to blah, blah, blah? And I went, okay, here's the deal. Whatever parents in the front seat teaches the driver. You can't teach her from the back seat. You can't see what's going on. You can't even see over my head. So how can you tell her left, right? You can't even see the damn road. That was really hard for him because he didn't want to ride in the front seat. He didn't want to be responsible for teaching her, but he couldn't let me teach her because he didn't agree.
He was being a backseat driver.
He's a micromanager and I'm not.
Mhm.
I'm like, I only managed her when she needed it. And then if she'd get through something, I go, okay, here's a different way to do that. But if you go, hold on, stop. Pull over, left hand, blinker, put your blinker on, then she's freaked out. You can't do that. She'd change lanes and I'd go, it's always a better idea if you use your blinker. And then she'd go, okay. Well, Bert would be like, you don't have your blinker on. What's wrong with you? How are people supposed to know you're moving over? And then she's panicked. So at one point,
Stop yelling at me.
I know, she was like, I don't think I want to drive with Dad anymore. Yeah. I was like, I don't blame you. So I have a feeling I'll be teaching Isla, but I don't think Isla's going to do well with the you don't know anything speech. She is so stubborn and right about everything that I got to figure out how to give her that same speech and it be effective. The cool thing about having kids for me is I have one of me and one of Bert. In turn, like how their brain processes a lot, who they are.
Are you Isla?
I am Isla.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. And so I know how to relate to Bert easily.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly I know how to relate to Georgia easily. Isla and I have a wonderful relationship, but I definitely have had a lot more struggle with Isla. And Bert is like, it's like watching you fight with you. You're just like boom, boom, boom. So yeah, so I don't know about the driving thing. I wonder if Bert would be better to teach Isla how to drive because Bert struggles more with Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And
they're so similar.
They are so similar.
And it's funny because I've always thought that Georgia looked the most like Bert and Isla looked the most like you, especially when they were little.
Yes, they do.
Mm-hmm.
They still, Georgia is Bert in a skirt.
Yeah.
Same. But the older she's gotten, the more she's revealed herself to be like her dad.
Yeah.
She's, she doesn't have his learning disability or that kind of stuff, but she has anxiety like he does. She has a need to be with people all the time like he does. Everything's a drama, positive or negative. This is the best day of my life. This is the worst day of my life, like that.
She swings wide.
She does. I always say she casts a wide wake. And it's hard for Isla sometimes where she was like, some of this wake is fake. And I don't know what the fuck you're doing. And I'm that way with Bert and I just overlook it. And with Georgia, I just go, oh, wow. Yeah, that sounds crazy. And then Isla and I go, whatever. It's really not a big deal. But, you can't not validate her. That's how she feels. And then, but the struggle between those two girls has almost always been about that. What they each consider to be important is very different. So when one kid sees me parent the other kid in a way that kid doesn't value, they get confused.
Right.
They go, well, that wouldn't work with me.
Yeah.
Well, you're completely different, you know? One kid cares about partying, the other kid doesn't. So what do I do? Make the kid that doesn't want to party? That's stupid. Yeah. Make the kid that wants to party stay home? That's stupid. So you have to kind of
change, adapt.
You do. And you have to, what's hard this age about parenting is teaching them to accept the differences in their sibling and know that certain rules are rules. You know, you don't lie, you don't cheat, you don't steal, but some rules apply differently to each kid because, I mean, if we're pass fail family, like I said, but I'm not going to let Georgia just phone it in. Neither of my kids can phone it in and pass fail. You have to really try.
Right.
So for Georgia, she better get at least a B. If she's in the world of C, she's phoning it in.
Yeah.
Isla, if she gets all C's and has really busted her ass, I am cool.
Right.
Because she's got a learning disability.
Yes.
So to explain, to make them see each other as different in some of those rule ways is really challenging because they get resentful and angry at me or at the other one for the different rules.
They still get along well.
Oh yeah, they still get along great. Yeah, no, they get along great. But anytime they have, because siblings have problems, anytime they have problems, it seems to be about a difference in their value system somehow, where they just value certain things differently, and one will step on the toes of the other, and they're just like, "Oh my God, how can she even live?" You know, you're like, because she just does. Yeah. It's just different. How were you and your sister growing up?
We're good. We got along really, really well. She was almost kind of like a mini me. I think I was less than 2 years different. And she would so easy. I would be like, we're going to do this. She's like, okay, we're going to do that. She's such a perpetual little sister. And she's still, every once in a while, she'd be like, what are you having at this restaurant? I'm like, this. She's like, I'll get the same. And then she starts laughing. She's like, I'm such a little sister.
That's so cute, though.
It is.
You've always seemed to me to have a really good relationship.
We have. She's my best friend. Yeah.
That's awesome. Good. Well, you got lucky, didn't you?
I know. Thank God. Yeah, because I see some of my other friends just don't have it.
They don't. And, you know, it's, I don't know. Are your parents still married? No.
And that might be part of it. I think that because they got divorced when we were young, and I think we kind of needed each other. All four of us needed each other because I have two brothers too. Like more so than other, when you rely on your siblings for more than just being a sibling.
Yeah. Someone else in the house.
Yes.
Where are your brothers?
One's in Chicago and one's in Las Vegas.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I just went out and visited the one in Chicago. He's got littles. He's got 5 and 3. So I went for Halloween and took up trick-or-treating. It was so much fun.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they're so cute.
Do you like being an aunt?
I love it.
You do?
Yeah.
No kids?
No.
You and Joe?
No. Just the 2 little mutts.
2 butts. Sometimes it's better. Having kids is awesome, but who was I talking to the other day? Oh, there was an actress here the other day who was approaching, I don't know how old she is, but she was saying that, she's aging out sort of being a mom. Mm-hmm. And I was like, there's nothing wrong with not being a mom. There's part of it I was saying to her, now that I'm about to be an empty nester, I'm super excited to just be with Bert. Mm-hmm. Like, it's so fun. We don't have any, kids just added, but there's nothing missing. So not that I wouldn't want to have my kids. Of course I would, but we weren't really planning on having kids. And I think I would have been okay.
Yeah.
Life's wonderful. There's so much to do. And
yeah, I mean, I have a little bit of what ifs.
Yeah.
But I'm also like, Joe did not want kids. He literally was like, I think it ruins relationships. I'm like, I don't think it ruins relationship. I think it changes relationships, because he would just look at some of our friends and he was like, they hate each other. I'm like, they don't hate each other. They're struggling. They have an infant. They're tired.
Yeah.
He's like, no, they hate each other.
Well, I think some people do hate each other because when you have kids, man, it's like you're in combat all the time. Mm-hmm. You're sleep deprived, you're malnourished, you're dehydrated. There's no way you can take care of yourself unless you have a staff of people helping you.
Right.
You can't effectively take care of yourself. And the first couple years, especially, you're just like,
you're running on empty. You're just doing it, going through the
Completely.
motions.
And if you're not good at negotiating that or coping with that kind of pressure with another partner who may not be as good at it as you are, I can see why people hate each other. I hated Bert sometimes. I never hated him. But there were some times where I definitely saw red and was like, you're a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Why would you ever do that or be that or say that? Or, and I don't really know how we got through all that. You know, there was no magic formula. I guess you just have to be committed to each other and know that at the core, you love each other. You're just tired.
Which is awesome. You guys did it and you still like each other, because I've also seen people who are like, really all we have in common is the kids. And now that they're out of the house, we're done.
It's totally true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know a friend of a friend who's that exact thing just happened. The kid's a sophomore in college and they went, I was hoping freshman year we would like reconnect, and
just never,
it's
just
not
changed
happening.
it.
Yeah. I mean, you change. I mean, think how much you've changed since you were 20.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've changed. And I don't even have children, but my relationship with Joe has changed a lot.
Yeah. And your relationship with yourself,
with my friends, and
with everything. Friends come and go because you change. And then, I mean, you moved out here for what? Why'd you move to LA?
To act. I had a theater degree from Arizona.
You did?
Yeah.
And are you still acting?
No, I haven't done it in years.
No?
No, I just kind of stopped doing it. I love it still, but I'm just like, oh.
What was that like? Because I studied to be an actress too. And
Did you?
I did. I'm a Meisner trained actress. I studied in New York. And I was acting in New York. And then one day I just went, I like the acting piece. I don't like the business piece.
No, I don't like the people sizing you up going, you would be good. And I was like, leave me alone. You don't know me.
Yeah.
I'm a private person. I don't think I would have ever handled fame. I don't know how people do it. Like and especially with social media. I feel so bad for some of like the younger actors and actresses out there. I'm like, they're terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. It's terrible sometimes.
Yeah.
If you're a private person, I think it would be very hard to be famous.
Yeah.
And I was that way too. I was always like, no, that girl will probably be better than me. Me or her, it doesn't matter. Either one. And the sizing up, is, I got sized up when I moved to LA and I was still going to pursue acting. I got sized up by an agent and I went, you know what? I think I'm done.
Yeah.
Like I'll act if someone asks me to, but I'm pretty done. I'm just going to write. And that's when I started writing. It's because I was like, I don't need to, as that agent said to me, stop eating lunch and start smoking cigarettes to be able to be 105 pounds. Because at the time I was 110. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. So let me just keep writing. Because I was writing in New York too. I was writing stuff for myself to act in. And then I was writing stuff for myself and other people to act in. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to let that go. And ended up meeting a director who put me in a few of her projects, and another director that put me in a few of his projects. But it didn't mean enough for me to pursue it. So when did you have a point like that, or did you just let it fade away?
I just let it kind of fade away. And I just, I miss it. I did a lot of sketch and improv. So I did Groundlings and UCB, which I loved. And I miss some of that. But I also, it's hard. Rejection's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. Like I remember it like gutted me when I didn't pass like into the next Groundling level. I was like, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
In retrospect, I shouldn't have. I should have kept at it. But I mean, I can always go back.
Heck yeah. You can always go back. Joe's a writer, right?
Yes. And he writes all the time.
And how's he doing?
Main thing. He loves it. He's taking class. He went to UCLA and got his master's. So he's still taking classes through that teacher. It's not through UCLA anymore, but he's taking like a private one-on-one with him, or like I think a couple other people in the class. And they all get together and exchange scripts, and
amazing.
He loves it. And then when we go to Arrowhead, that's his favorite place to go write. He likes to write up in the mountains.
Yeah.
It's not as loud as North Hollywood. That's what he says.
It's not as loud.
Yeah, it's too many distractions in North Hollywood.
It's so peaceful up there anyway.
It really is. Do you ever go up there?
I have. This is so crazy. Should we stop here and just start talking about Arrowhead?
Should we? Because I was wondering, should we transition or just do a whole new thing?
We can just whatever
you want to
do. Tell me about this Lake Arrowhead house. How did it happen?
So we have some friends that have houses up there, second homes. So we would go up on occasion and visit them. And we just loved the area. I've only been to Big Bear once, but I just kind of prefer Lake Arrowhead. It's a smaller lake. It's private. And they have a boat. So their house is right on the lake. So we would go out on the boat with them. We're like, oh, we love coming up here. And so after Joe and I, because remember we bought the house in North Hollywood and then we built the pool house out back. And we loved doing the construction with his dad. It was such a great project. We love our finished we love our little pool house. It's right next to our swimming pool, unlike yours. And so we were always like, let's get another property. Let's get another property and flip it and sell it. That was always our plan.
Yeah.
So going up to Lake Arrowhead, Joe was like, why don't we start looking at properties up here? This was in 2019. He goes, and then what about we Airbnb? He goes, Big Bear's huge with Airbnb. There's so many. He's like, but there weren't that many at the time in Lake Arrowhead.
Right.
And I was like, that sounds like a great idea. And we have a friend, Clark, who had a house up there and was doing very well. He basically is a free house.
Wow.
He has a house in LA and then the one up there paid for itself.
Wow.
So we would go up and stay with him and look at properties. We found a house in February of 2020, put an offer in, and then you know what happened in March of 2020.
Yes.
So that was a little frightening.
Yeah.
Because both of us weren't working. We were at home. The house that we put an offer in, we're in escrow. She had built 2 decks. So the house is built into the side of a cliff, like a lot of houses out there. And so the decks were gorgeous. She did not get permits for them.
Are you kidding?
No. So we added that as a contingency. We're like, these decks have to be permitted in order for the sale to go through.
Right.
But when the world shut down, she couldn't get inspectors out there either. So we literally were in the longest escrow of our lives.
Oh my God.
It started in February and then we closed in August.
In August?
Yes.
Oh my God.
But thank God, Leanne, because both of us were unemployed. Like we wouldn't have gotten the house.
Right.
But then the world opened back up. We went back to work and she was able to get like she had to do a couple things. She had to get an architect out and like redo the plans and stuff and submit it to the city and then get them to come out. So it took a really long time,
Right.
But everything worked out perfectly.
Yeah. And then you could recover there in September, right?
Yep.
Crazy.
And then during the second shutdown, we just moved up there. And then his dad came down and lived with us. We all wore masks,
Yeah.
which was, we're like, Dad, we've been here for 2 weeks. We haven't seen anyone else. But he's in his 70s. He's like, just in case.
Yeah.
He's like, we're not vaccinated yet. So we all had to wear masks in the house.
Oh my God.
While we did construction. But we finished the house. So we flipped one of the bedrooms, one of the bathrooms. And then there's like a dirt room downstairs with the laundry room, because it's built in the side of the hill. Mm-hmm. We put flooring and walls up in there and so that the guests can come in and out. And then we put a little dog area off the back.
Oh, nice.
So it's a very dog-friendly Airbnb. And then we just started Airbnb 2021 in April.
Yeah. And how's it going?
It's going great. It's booked all the time.
Is it?
Just there right now. Yes.
That's amazing.
There are very few dog-friendly Airbnbs.
Uh-huh.
People just don't want them. And it's the number one searched thing because people want to take their dogs.
Yeah.
Especially Arrowhead's so great because it's only an hour and a half away.
Yeah.
So pretty much everybody's from California. We don't get out-of-state people, but it's
Right.
people from San Diego, LA, every once in a while from like up the coast from San Francisco or Santa Barbara, Ventura.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's great.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Your house is adorable up there.
Thank you. I
So-
love it.
That's interesting to know that a dog-friendly property is a hot commodity.
Yeah.
I had a question. My brain just went blank. How long did you look for a place?
Not very long. I think we went out 3 times with our realtor. And at the time, there were a ton of properties. The market has changed so much since February of 2020. Our
I'm
house has
sure.
gone up so much. And so many people
I'm
moved
sure.
out of LA or bought second homes in Arrowhead because everyone realized, we can work from home. We
Yeah.
don't have to actually live in the city.
Right.
Houses were a lot cheaper up there. They've gone up a lot now.
Yes, they have.
Have you looked?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've been looking for a while for that exact reason to Airbnb something.
Yeah.
I grew up in the woods on 20 acres in the woods, and I love the woods.
Yeah.
So I love going to the woods, and so does Georgia.
Mhm.
Isla's an ocean baby.
Yeah.
Georgia and I like the woods. So I've been up there, I think 3 times looking at houses, and it's expensive compared to when you bought.
Right,
And
totally.
so I'm like, is this going to go back down, or is this a permanent, what's happening here? And I don't know the area enough to know where to buy something. so I was trying to figure that out. I've never stayed in Arrowhead. I've only stayed in Big Bear.
Okay.
But I've been to Arrowhead over and over, and everybody I know who's from here is like, if you're going to buy something, you should buy something in Lake Arrowhead. It's so much more private. It's quieter.
It is. It's smaller.
It's smaller, and you can still drive to Big Bear to go ski.
Yeah, and it's like 40 minutes away. There are some negative things from living up there. I know there's some smaller towns are great. Everything closes.
Yeah.
Everything closes early. And then a lot of times they're just not even open. There's just not a lot of options. But that's fine. Like, you just got to realize when you go up there, you might have to just stay home.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Like the grocery store closes like that?
Yeah. And just randomly, I'm like, let's go to this restaurant tomorrow night. Oh, not open.
Not
Nope,
open.
Not open.
So how did you get materials and stuff up there? There's not a Home Depot or anything.
There's not. So we did a lot of runs down to San Bernardino. There's a lumber yard up there. So we ordered drywall from them, some lumber. His dad is very frugal and was really into Home Depot. He's like, let's go to Home Depot. We're like, it's not worth the hour drive to go down the hill. We can go to this little hardware store. Home Depot's just a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
But we were back and forth anyways, because I wanted to come back and check on this house. Like, I just didn't want to leave this house completely. And then at the time I was still, I'd have to go in and see my doctor. Like, I had to go in 3 times to get stitches removed and to just check on it.
Yeah.
Look at my progress. And then I was still seeing, like, my chiropractor was here and stuff. Like, our dentist is here. So
yeah,
we would come back anyways. And then we would just try to coincide it with, like, I'll be back in North Hollywood. I can go to that Lowe's or that Home Depot, pick up these supplies that we need, and then go back up to the mountain.
Right. And so you did a bedroom and a bathroom.
And then we did the laundry room.
And the laundry room, which is the downstairs dirt room.
And then his dad is an electrician. So he redid all the wiring.
Amazing.
And then we just did we tweaked everything. She really loved baby blue, old owner. So, and lots of wallpaper. Have you ever removed wallpaper?
No.
It is not fun, Leanne. It's one of the worst things ever.
Yeah.
So I had to remove a lot of wallpaper. And then we just painted everything white, got rid of the baby blue. And just all the light fixtures had to be redone. Just like stuff like that. Like a lot of tweaking. Put in a tankless water heater. That's one of the first things we did. Put in a door downstairs and recreated like a little, she had a dog area, but it wasn't very cute. So we just made it more secure because our dogs are so small that everything had to be tightened up.
Yeah.
So stained the deck, just stuff like that. Like it was a lot of work, but it was fun.
Yeah. And it's rewarding because now you go up there every week.
And we make money off of it.
Yeah.
And I love that house. That house is so we did it, even though it's my house, there's nothing personal in it. We did it very much like, you're staying at an Airbnb, which I love. Now I come back to my house. I'm like, my house is so cluttered. I've got my crap all over everywhere.
Yeah.
Up there, everything has its place and nothing is out of place. And I know exactly where everything should be.
Yeah. That's kind of nice.
It is. It's so nice.
Do you manage the Airbnb yourself?
I do.
You do?
I do it myself. I have a cleaning crew, but I manage it. So
how is it? Is that hard? No.
I like it.
You do?
You could do it. You do it really well. You do really good at it. It's just you have to be personable.
Yeah.
For the most part, we've also tried to idiot-proof the house so that we don't get any late night phone calls. You know what I mean? Like everything, we have a book with instructions when you get there to look through so that you know how this remote works. You know how to work the Nest.
Right.
We have a keyless entry. So we give them a code and then the code changes for every new guest.
Right.
We have rules.
Yeah.
We have cameras outside the house to make sure that the rules are being followed. So
what are your rules?
Like you can't have extra guests. You can't. We have to know exactly who's coming and going because you don't want parties.
Yeah, no.
You also have to be over 25 to rent our house. We just don't want really young people there.
Yeah.
Which I feel bad about sometimes. Like we'll make an exception. But we don't want parties.
Right.
And let's be honest, Lake Arrowhead doesn't want parties either.
No.
They just
I think Airbnbs don't want parties.
Yes.
Bert, is that you?
Hello. Hey.
Hi.
Holy shit, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Hi,
It's been
babe.
forever.
I know.
Isn't it nice to see her?
It's really great to see you. You know, I was
Good to
just
see
in
you.
Montana.
You were?
Yeah.
What were you doing up there?
You were doing stand-up.
It's in stand-up?
Well, you were trying to do stand-up. I think the weather.
Snow fucking killed me.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's great seeing you.
Good to see
I
you.
didn't know you were in here with her. I walked in and I was like, what's Jen doing in there? All right, I love you. I'm going to take a nap.
Okay. Love you too. All right. Bye. Just got home. I don't even know where he was this run.
Welcome back.
But yeah, I don't think Airbnb allows parties
No,
anymore.
well, they've really cracked down too. So it's nice because I feel like they have our back kind of. But we've had great guests. I love our guests. For the most part, we've only had like 2 issues. And I think we've had 95 different groups.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What were your 2 issues?
One, he, it was during Oktoberfest because like Arrowhead has like a big party. I think he literally came and just dropped the dog off and left all day. So when we got there, the dog had done some damage. We were not happy. We're like, that's just, for one thing, that's not cool to do to the dog. And that's totally disrespectful. And then he didn't even really try to clean it.
Like pooped or like tore up the furniture?
All the above. All the above. Poop, pee. I had to replace 2 rugs, 2 poofs, like the little like things that you sit on. Because the dog just kind of
Destroyed it.
Yeah.
Oh, poor dog.
I know. Crappy. And then we also had somebody that had a wedding up there, which we have right in our rules, no events. And we're like, we have a camera. We can see you in your wedding dress. We see the photographer.
Like they got married in your house?
Uh-huh.
Oh my God.
I know.
How crazy.
And we didn't kick them out or anything. We're like, this is not cool. We do have rules. And that's also an Airbnb rule. No events. They don't want.
This is for you to come with your family and stay and enjoy.
Yeah,
and that's what it is. Oh my God, there was a wedding.
Yeah.
I think I'd prefer the wedding to the dog poop though.
Absolutely. And we didn't go after them monetarily. The guy with the dog poop, we hit him up for quite a bit of money. We're like, you need to replace all this stuff and pay for the extra cleaning. My cleaning crew was there for hours, cleaning like baseboards and stuff. Just not cool. But everybody else I'm not
cleaning baseboards. Did the dog pee on the baseboards?
Everywhere.
Oh my God.
Yeah. He was a big dog. But everyone else has been fantastic. And for the most part, we do have people with dogs.
Yeah.
But they're well behaved.
That's good.
And I think a lot of them just take them with them. They're like us. We're like, when we go let's take them to the village. They like to walk around the village.
So do you have anything there for dogs, like crates or dog beds or anything?
Lots of dog beds, lots of dog bowls. And then we have the dog area. And then we've also secured our deck just in case your dog's slight, like pork chop, and could possibly get through. So we have enforced all of that. Like it's very dog friendly.
That's so cool.
We don't do crates because we don't crate our dogs, but definitely lots of beds and blankets. They have their own blankets.
Oh, that's so cute.
And then we leave a gift basket for every guest. And then I get custom made dog treats with our logo on it because our house is called Little Big Sky.
Oh,
named after Montana. Yeah. So they all get treats for their dogs.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So is that why you go up every Wednesday?
Yes.
Yeah.
My cleaning crew is great, but there's just certain things that I need to tweak. And I know this every time I go up. Just,
right.
The things that you look for. And we have to deal with trash. They don't deal with the trash. We have to go and remove it. And like the barbecue, they wouldn't clean the barbecue. Nobody's barbecuing right now, but during the summer, that's a big thing. And then fire pits are we have 2 fireplaces. So we got to go shop back out all the ashes and stuff, just like stuff like that. We also went last week and decorated for Christmas. So I was up there for 4 days.
Wow.
And we winterproofed everything because it has snowed twice, but it hasn't quite stuck yet. But it's a big one's coming. So we had to bring an outdoor rug, cover everything that's outside. We had a foosball table outside and we brought it into the laundry room just because I don't think it'll survive the winter. We just got the foosball table and then there's not that much snow, but it'll probably snow at least 2 or 3 times and then it'll be around for a while.
Yeah, right.
And I just don't want to ruin stuff outside.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Do you have to do anything to the house to waterproof it? Anything in the pipes or anything?
No.
No.
We covered all the water spigots outside, but that's about it. No, we don't, because we're up there. And if you never ran your water and you turned your heat off, your pipes might burst.
Yeah.
But we're up there all the time, or our guests are up there all the time. So we just leave our heat on. We leave it low, but we leave it on all the time.
So it's on. So the house is.
And it's not like Montana freezing. It's just not. It's California.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
We bought a house at the beach.
You did?
We did. I won't say the city on here, but we bought a house at the beach in a very quiet town close by.
Awesome.
And I never get there. I'm really bummed because we never get to go.
Do you Airbnb?
No.
Okay.
We are in an area that doesn't allow it.
Got it.
And we bought that for us. But that's why I thought I personally would like a house in the woods.
Yeah.
So we were looking in Ojai for a house in the woods because I was like, oh, that would be good. Then you could just drive 30 minutes to the beach and then you'd have both. But it didn't work out. This one kind of fell in our lap and just worked out. When things are effortless, they're kind of meant to be. So, but ever since we got there, I go, I still want to be in the woods. I still miss the woods. Like the ocean is for Bert and Isla. It's, I mean, I go up there and I enjoy it and it is relaxing. And I have the same feeling you're describing where I go, there's nothing for me to do here. There's no clutter. There's no laundry.
Nice.
We don't bring the dogs up there because it doesn't have like a secure backyard.
Okay.
So until we put a fence up in a certain place, I don't want to bring them.
Yeah.
So our dog sitter stays here and we go up there and it's really an unplug, a real disconnect. But sometimes I would like to bring my dogs and stay longer because I feel guilty leaving them here.
If you ever want to use the house in Arrowhead, you can use it.
Well,
and take the puppies.
I'll Airbnb it.
No, you can just use it.
But yeah, I've always, and I don't know anybody who has an Airbnb, so I never knew how it worked. Were you worried about it or nervous about it?
The first time. I got so attached to my home. I'm like, I don't want anybody in my home. I don't want strangers in my house. But now I've had so much feedback and they're like, your house is so lovely. Thank you so much. And the people that are there right now, it's their second time. They were just there in August. So these are our first repeaters. And now I'm like, I'm sharing it with people. Like I love doing the gift basket. I love when it's like perfect and I know it looks great. I'm so excited for them to walk into my house.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's a great way to feel.
And but it took me a while at the beginning.
It did. It took you a minute.
Yeah. It's like they're going to ruin stuff.
Please don't do that. I know Bert's like, if we ever loan our house to anybody, they can't sleep in our master bedroom. I was like, well, I mean, that's kind of reasonable, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like, I just don't want anybody in my room.
Yeah.
Anybody else can sleep in the rest of the house, no problem. There's a couple more bedrooms. That's fine.
Yeah.
They're great bedrooms.
And you can just lock the master.
Just lock the master and say, no, because you don't need to get in there for any other reason.
We have a storage area that's off of, so when we built the laundry room, we put in a door. So we have a back area that's just for us and our stuff. So we keep our clothes in there. We keep all our tools in there that we used. And then that's where I have all the gift basket stuff. And then also like all the cleaning supplies. So my cleaning lady, she has access to it. She can go in and get her bucket and the vacuum cleaner and stuff like that. Just stuff that we don't leave out.
Yeah. And that the people renting don't need.
No, they don't need to be back there.
They don't need all that stuff.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you something about coming up on Wednesdays. Hour and a half? Really?
Yeah, hour and a half, as long as there's no traffic.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And Joe goes with you?
Oh, yeah. And we take the dogs. Now it's like our little escape.
Yeah.
And if we can stay longer, it's even better. But I mean, we have to come back to our lives and our jobs and everything. But I love it up there. It is quiet, like I said. And it's really quiet right now because it's cold.
Yeah.
Like I walked around the village. I'm like, wow, nothing's open. But it's okay. You just get food and go back to the house. That's why you have a great house. You can just cook there and hang out there. I have a great view.
Yeah.
It's of the lake and of the mountains like across.
Beautiful.
And that's why I'm more into Lake Arrowhead than Big Bear's a little flatter around the lake.
Is.
Lake Arrowhead is really built up. Mm-hmm. So I love the view.
It is very mountainous over there.
Yes.
It's really pretty. I was just looking at a house there last week that has a great view.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to talk my husband into looking at it, but it wasn't working out for me. He was too busy with other things.
Got it.
Where does your father-in-law live?
San Jose.
Where?
San Jose.
Oh, San Jose. Okay, so
bad.
He's here.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, he would just fly down and he just lived there. We felt really bad. Now we have a big access road. It's very steep to get to our house, to get up to the parking pad. The first winter we were living there with him, we went back to LA and a huge snowstorm hit and he got snowed in.
Oh my God.
Because his car was up there and we didn't have the plow service. So we're like, are you okay? We talked to him on the phone a lot and he's like, well, I have all the chicken pot pies from Costco. I think I can live off that. So the poor man lived off chicken pot pies for 4 days till we could get up there and shovel him out.
Oh my God. I bet he'll never eat chicken pot pie again.
And he looked a little wild-eyed when we got there because he'd been by himself for 4 days snowed in.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
How is it driving up there in the snow? I did not grow up driving in the snow. It's probably nothing to you, but
it's nothing to me. You still have to be careful. I just got a new Bronco with 4-wheel drive.
Nice.
Because it just will help. But we were fine. Like the snow plows, they do a really good job. Like you just don't want to go while it's actually snowing because you'll slip and slide all over.
Got it.
And if the access road is bad, we just park down below and we can walk up the stairs. It's just up like this, which is not that big of a deal, but we don't want our guests to have to do that. So we hired a plow service. Last year, they charged $5,500 for the entire year.
Wow.
It's a long access road. But this year they changed. Thank God. They're like, we will now just charge per time that we go up.
Oh,
only $350. So it's going to save us money. Because even there's no way they're going 10 times. Joe said like he thought that they went 7 last time. We get 7 big snowstorms.
Right.
And it has to be over 4 inches for them to go and plow.
Okay.
Because if not, it'll just melt.
Oh, okay. So that's not bad.
It's not bad. And it hasn't happened yet. We're waiting. We know it's coming.
I'm always nervous. I've it's been so long since I've driven up there in the winter when
Yeah.
it's snowy. So we used to go snow. We used to go ski at Big Bear like once a year,
Uh-huh.
but that was years ago. It was before I had kids, and I don't remember what it's like driving up that mountain when it's
The 18 is sketchy. It's sketchy.
because you're on the cliff
Yeah.
side. Going
called-
up, you're on the cliff.
Yeah, it's called the Rim of the World.
Is it called the Rim of the World?
Yes.
It's kind of terrifying.
It's terrifying.
Does anybody ever fall off?
I don't know, probably, but I don't know. I don't know.
We're just gonna blindly walk like lemmings up the rim of the world
Yeah.
because literally you're driving and you're like, it's like
It's right
that's
there.
a mountain
Right.
all the way right there.
So we went last year. There was one big snowstorm, and our cleaning crew couldn't get up there because they live down in San Bernardino, and that was a little. But you drive slow. Everyone was putting their chains on, and they're out there. The plow is up there. Like they make sure if it gets too sketchy, they'll close it. Like
Oh,
nobody can
got
get up. We got to wait for the snow to stop, and then we'll get the plow through. Because they don't want to lose anybody either.
Yeah,
the
right?
locals, though, are pretty used to driving up there. Like they drive pretty fast. They're like, speed up. I take my time. I'm cautious.
Yeah, city folks, right?
like,
The
I don't
city
wanna-
folks
I don't
drive
wanna-
slow.
Yes.
I know. Always when have gone up there in the snow, I'm always like, I feel like someone is right on my tail,
Uh-huh.
and I'm like, you must live here
Oh, yeah.
because
They get
this
impatient.
is terrifying. This is
Right.
terrifying. Going down the mountain's not so bad.
No, because you're against the mountain.
yeah, but going up, you're like,
Oh, yeah.
I really am like, there's no guardrail either.
No.
Like in places, but
Mm-mm.
not really.
No.
So that was another thing I wondered about of like, would I actually go up there? Because I might just might be so stressful driving on that.
You do
freaking
get more
edge.
used to it.
Yeah.
The more you do it, I'm like, now I can do it pretty fast unless it's icy. Then I'm like, I got to slow down.
Slow down.
And I'm much better than Joe. Joe gets anxiety when he goes up the mountain.
He
He's like,
does.
And I'm like, just don't even look. Just don't even look off the cliff. Just look straight ahead forward. Yeah.
Eyes forward, eyes
Yeah.
forward. Do you go back to Montana much?
No, I went in August. I need to go back more. So my family owns a cabin up there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And my dad was just here and we were talking about we want to start renovating that.
In
Well,
Montana.
Yeah. The only problem is all my stuff is here. And
Yeah.
I do not want to drive it up to there. That's
Yeah.
a long drive.
How long is the drive?
Oh, I haven't done it since I was in high school. So I don't even know. I just fly. It's like 2 days.
Yeah, it's far. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where in Montana?
It's in Buxton outside of Butte. It's a little tiny like mining community outside of. Do you know where Butte is?
Sort of.
Kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of the bigger cities. It's an old mining town too. So I grew up in Billings.
Mhm.
Butte's about 4 hours away. And Buxton's like 20 miles outside of there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That would be exciting.
Yeah.
What kind of cabin is it?
It's old, run down. My grandpa left it to us. It's cute though. It's
Like-
like on the side of the mountain. Really nobody around except for relatives.
Amazing.
My second cousin lives up the street.
Is it like a log cabin or
No, just old wood.
just
I
old
would
wood?
love to make it log. I
Yeah.
would love to like really get my hands on it. It's but it belongs to my cousins too, and my brothers and my sister too. So we would all have to agree on what we want to do with
you have
it.
to do it
But
together.
I would like to make it super cute.
You know, I grew up in a log cabin.
Did you?
I did.
I love the log cabin look.
Yes, my dad bought a log cabin. My dad bought a log cabin with two other bachelors after my parents divorced. One of the other bachelors had a son my age. And so they got custody of us on the same weekend, every other weekend. So it was like bachelor pad, daddy pad, bachelor pad, daddy pad.
How fun!
But yeah, he had a log cabin. It was on 2 acres, on 2 acres. He had a log cabin on 20 acres. And the cabin was like, at the time he bought it, was about 180 years old.
Oh,
It still had newspaper on the inside, on the logs with
I've
dates
seen a lot
on
of that
it.
in Montana. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's how they insulate it.
Mhm.
Would they just like wallpaper with newspapers? The 2 main rooms were original, and then everything else was kind of added on as it grew. Had 2 8 feet tall arched Tiffany stained glass windows from a church on either side of a stone fireplace in the living room. Big vaulted ceiling with beams, exposed beams. It's one of the most beautiful houses I've ever been in. My dad sold it when I was in college, and I refused to move. I didn't move. My aunt had to pack and move me out. I did not move out of that. I was so angry.
Yeah.
And then he bought it back.
What?
And then he sold it again. And I'm like, God dang it. But it is just spectacular.
I've always wanted to own a log cabin.
They're really cool.
Mhm.
There's problems with them, but they're really cool.
You might be able to find one up in Arrowhead.
Yeah.
I've seen some, not a lot, but I've seen some.
I'd be happy to have a log cabin, but I'd be afraid I'd always compare it to that one. I mean, how old is it now? It was 180 years old when I was 10. So it's about 220 years old now, I guess. It was on a creek. It was just beautiful.
Oh, I bet.
Just beautiful. Such a cool way to be a kid, too.
Yeah.
No heat. Caveat. There was no heat except the fireplace. So we would sleep in the winter. I would sleep with my dad because it was so cold, and we just have blanket, and one of them would be an electric blanket. And I used to listen for Brandon, the boy that was my age, to get up first because Saturday morning you watch cartoons, right? Please get up before I do, because whoever got up first had to build the fire. So I'd wait and listen for him to go, and I'll go, oh, thank God, thank God. When he gets the fire going, I'm going to get up. It's so cold. I think I'm traumatized from the cold because like there was no heat in the bathroom. It was a little bitty space heater, but it just couldn't really do the job. And so when you would shower, you'd be like,
and if you don't have proper insulation,
it's log. And when he first bought it, the whatever the cement's called between the logs, there's a certain term for it, I can't remember, was either missing or like partially missing. So there were big holes between the logs where there was, the grout or whatever it is, and there's a big hole. We hung quilts over the doorways and quilts over the logs until we renovated it. I helped my dad very minorly, helped my dad renovate it. He and his roommates really renovated it. But what can a freaking 10-year-old do? But I helped a little bit. Used to split wood for a fireplace, all this stuff that nobody in LA.
No. I don't even do that. I don't split wood for the fireplace.
No. You know what?
I could, though.
You absolutely could. What's fascinating about LA is it's so built and developed and concentrated that, like, when we bought this house was built in 1949, I think. Yeah, 1949. And this house had a permit for a chicken coop, and it is zoned for livestock. So I could still...
You can still have your chickens?
I could have goats here. I could have a horse. I could have any kind of livestock here. And you drive them down the street, all of these properties, to some extent, had that same permit where they could have livestock. I mean, can you imagine where we live now with people having like just cows or whatever? Crazy, isn't it? Because it's just city, city, city. Yeah.
I was just in Billings, where I grew up, in August, in one of the main streets. You drive by and there's cows, like in their front yard. They still have it. And Billings is the biggest city in Montana.
It is?
Yeah.
Do you watch Yellowstone?
I do. I love it.
Oh my God, I love it so much. I love it so much.
I'm obsessed. And I'm watching White Lotus right now, too. Have you seen that?
Yes.
They're both so good.
White Lotus is amazing.
I know. I can't wait to figure out what happens.
I know. Well, I haven't started season 2 yet.
Oh.
I'm behind. But yeah, Yellowstone is just amazing. I went to Montana on vacation. We flew into Bend, I think. No, we flew into, where would you fly into?
Bozeman.
Great Falls?
Great Falls.
We flew into Great Falls, and the place we stayed at was in Bend. And Bend is exactly the size of a speck of dust. It is tiny. It has one stop sign.
Oh, wow.
And a little bitty, like, town. It was so beautiful.
Yeah, I love it up there.
It feels different there.
Oh, yeah. I love it.
It feels totally different, right?
They're really not... When I was there in August, they're really not loving the influx of people that are moving up there.
Sure.
And they think a lot of it has to do with the show. That people are like watching it, saying, I'm going to go buy a ranch and live up in Montana. So it's really driven up the housing prices. But that's going on everywhere. That's happening in Las Vegas, too, and in Arizona.
Yeah.
So
that's
I don't
true.
know.
Well, the place we stayed at was a really cool, I don't know if you call it a ranch or a resort, but it had like a resort house, like a ranch house. And then there were small houses you could rent around the ranch house. But then they owned like, I don't even know how many acres. And you could buy 5 to 20 acres and put a house on it. And they would manage it like an Airbnb for you.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
So you decide the size of land. You build your own house, whatever you want. You put on that piece of land. And they would just rent it out. And it's part of the main ranch house. So I went with a girlfriend and our kids. And we just had so much fun. The chef in that ranch house
Amazing.
was the best chef I've never had food like that. It was amazing. And then they had, drinks and s'mores and a little clubhouse down there. But the house itself was beautiful, and it was an Airbnb basically that this whole big conglomeration ran, and they had excursions and stuff you could do. And
Did you guys go river rafting or anything?
we didn't river raft. We took 4-wheelers way up into the mountains. That was really fun. And we went horseback riding, and we did archery. And what else did we do? No one wanted to fly fish.
Okay.
That was another thing, but none of the girls didn't want to do that. I don't remember what else we did. We did something every day, but the food was ridiculous. It was so good.
Very meat and potatoes.
Yeah, but sophisticated. It was very good.
Oh, the chef.
Bison,
Good.
venison,
Yeah.
You felt like you were in Montana. Funny thing
Did you have
happened,
rainbow
though.
trout?
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
We went down to Bend just to do something, just to get off the kind of ranch. We walked into the grocery store. There's only one grocery store. It's obviously a mom and pop grocery store. And literally from the door, every single wall all around to the door was taxidermy. And these 4 little LA kids were like, oh my God, what is happening? I was like, this is Montana, baby.
Yep.
People hunt here for sport. They hunt here for meat. You got to adjust your way of thinking. There's no judgment here. This guy's really proud of all these animals that he shot and killed. They were horrified. These little LA girls were like,
do the girls all eat meat?
Yes.
They eat meat.
They eat meat, yes. But they don't want to know where their meat comes from.
I get
It's so hypocritical. But I mean, my grandfather, my dad's dad, raised cattle for beef.
Yeah.
So, and
my grandpa had a cattle ranch too.
yeah, you process that and that's what you eat. It was a direct correlation to.
Oh yeah. I used to be involved with slaughtering the chickens. I liked it. I was like, all right, let's do this.
You did. I hated it.
Oh, I loved it.
Did you wring their neck?
Uh-huh.
I hated it.
I loved it.
Why did you love it?
I don't know. I thought it was thrilling. I was young and I liked to be included.
Yeah.
I liked that. I was like, I'm an adult. I can
do
do this.
Would you go like that? How'd you do
Nope.
it?
Just grab them by the feet and do but
by the feet,
full arm circles. So it went way out, stretched out, and then we would put him on the chopping block, and my grandpa would cut the head off. So it would just stretch it way out.
Ah,
that's how we did.
No, we would grab it by the head and like do a circle and snap, and it would snap their neck.
Nope, we didn't do that. We would cut their heads off.
And then they wobble around a little bit, and then my grandmother would cut their heads off too. But yeah, we would by the head and you snap it. It's fucking sucked. I did it like one time and went, I think I'm good. I think I'm good with that. I'll pass on that. I'll eat the chicken, but I'm not killing it. It was awful. I can't believe you like that.
I did. Sadistic little girl.
Well, I think you're right. It's probably more about being included.
Yes. I was like, yeah, I can. I'm an adult. I can do this.
Yeah,
tiny.
I liked being included in that stuff too. I always went to feed the cows and help my grandmother birth some goats. There was a goat one time that had triplets and one was breech, and she was very arthritic. She couldn't get it. She couldn't grip enough to pull one out. And I was like, oh, I can pull that out. Whoop, pulled a goat out. And that's so cool. It's such a amazing moment, where you can help an animal who's suffering. I mean, this poor little mama goat was just suffering,
in pain,
screaming. And to give her that relief was awesome. I watched The Incredible Dr. Pole. Do you ever watch The Incredible Dr. Pole? Yes. This is one of my stupid, like brain-free moments with TV when I just want to put something on in the background. He is a vet in Michigan, and he does a lot of large animal farm calls. And that's what I like to watch. I don't care about the dogs and cats, the rabbits. But when he goes out to the farm, I'm like, oh, I know what that's like. We had one of those. We had cows that did that. Now I know what that is. It's so cool. Do you miss any of that?
I do. It's so far removed from my life here, though. Like you said, I live in LA. Like I wear heels a lot.
Yeah.
When I go home, I miss it. When I go back to Montana, I'm like, oh, I remember this and I remember that. My best friend's grandparents had a cattle ranch down in Lovell, Wyoming. And we used to go and they would pay us when we were young to help with the cattle drives. And we didn't even have our driver's license, but we still would drive the truck. And we would have to drive up ahead and park it so that the cows wouldn't, and we would take them from one pasture to another pasture. And it would take all day long. And then they would write us a check for like think it was like $15, which
Oh my
was
God.
big money back then.
Totally.
And it was so much fun. And every once in a while there'd be a strangle, like one cow would get out or a little calf, and grandpa would be like, you guys got to go get it. So we'd jump on the 4-wheeler and have to go bring it back in.
Yep.
I miss that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then we would do a big day where we had to ear tag them, brand them, castrate them, and vaccinate them.
Oh.
So, and then I think my job was always I worked the chute. So someone would have to get in the chute and I'd do it, put it up on its side, and someone else would, I'd never branded. I hated the way that smelled.
Yeah.
But I ear tagged a few times, and I think I vaccinated a few times too.
Oh my God.
And it was like big action, but I love doing it. They're like, all right, you guys agree this date? We're all going to go down and do it. And it was a big gaggle of kids because they needed the help.
Yeah.
They had a
needed
huge
hands.
cattle ranch.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
What great experiences.
I know. Yeah. And then I'm like, kids don't do that here.
No. Obviously not here. No. No. Maybe in Bakersfield, maybe? Not even?
Maybe. Do they have big cattle ranches? I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
They do?
Harris Ranch here. Huge.
That's true. That's
yeah.
north, right?
Yeah.
I think that's on the way to San Jose.
Yeah. There's a lot of farm in California. A lot of all kinds of farming in California. It's just not here.
Yeah.
Not in LA. Some in Oxnard, strawberries, which is only about an hour from here. Flowers, strawberries, artichokes are in
Orange
Oxnard.
groves.
Yep. So do
Orange
you,
groves in Ojai too. Lots of orange
yeah,
groves.
you're right. Lots of
Yeah.
oranges. And avocados.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever look at your life now and are like, how did I get here? Not like, how did I get here the step by step, but the little girl who did that in Montana is this person who does nothing like that here. Do you ever look at those two juxtaposed life experiences and go, that's interesting, or that's, how did I do that? Or
Sometimes, but I'm still very much still that little girl.
yeah.
Like I really still am. Like the story I told you earlier with the dog. Like I still am. One of my favorite stories is, so I went to school in Arizona, and my boyfriend at the time, he was a fraternity guy, and we went with two other couples. Like I think they were his frat brothers with two other girls, and we went fishing. And what we used to do in Montana's land, we would pull them out of the river, and I would take them off a hook and beat its head against a rock till it stopped moving.
Oh my gosh.
So I did it around these sorority girls. You should have seen the looks on their faces. And my boyfriend was mortified. He's like, what are you doing? And I was like, after like the blood is all over. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. That's not how you guys do that here. And then I was so embarrassed. I was like, I'm so different.
Oh my God, that's hysterical. That's
I
so
didn't know. I was
funny.
like, I guess you guys don't do it like that here. I'm sorry.
Okay, what do you do with the fish? What
Yeah.
were they going to do with
And
it?
they just put it in their little, they had one of those little knapsacks, those little fishing knapsacks. So they just put it in there and it flopped around until it stopped moving. But I was like, oh, okay. I like to put it out of its misery, but I guess,
know, right?
I guess that's a little barbaric. And I guess in retrospect it was. I shouldn't have probably done that.
But that's a very funny story.
That's what I knew.
That's what you knew, right? Isn't that funny how you do stuff that you know and people are like, what?
What are you doing?
Yes.
We don't do it like that here. I was like, okay, sorry.
Well, you said fishing.
Yeah.
This is what I'm doing.
I know how to fish.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. So I think that even though I'm not that little girl, I still am. I still am in my life.
Yeah,
Like,
we
you're
all
still-
are.
Yeah.
Well, I still am too, but I still do have some times where I go, wait a minute, hold on. I was just supposed to like graduate and get married and have kids.
Mhm.
How did I,
Get here.
what inside my psyche, brain, soul went, no, I'm going to try this other path, is how many of your relatives did that?
Not many.
Not
Yeah.
many.
I know what you mean.
Do you ever think about that?
Yeah. And I think about like what would have happened. I would have stayed, but I didn't want to stay. I always was like, I always thought it was a little too small town for me. Like I
Yeah.
wanted the big city.
Yeah.
I wanted to experience it. And I'm glad I did. Because I like LA. I
So-
do. I love LA in what it is.
I love LA. I think
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Mhm.
But what in it, was there an experience that happened? Did you go visit a big city? Like, how did you know you wanted that?
I don't know. I think I just saw it on TV. I saw the
Interesting.
movies. And I was like, that's who I want to be. I want to be. Growing up, one of my girlfriend's mom was a little fancier than my mom and all the other moms, and that's who I wanted to be. No disrespect to my mom or to my
Yeah.
aunts or something, but she always dressed a little nicer. She wore the heels. She wore the lipstick. She aspired to be a little fancier, and that's who I wanted to be more like.
How fascinating.
Yeah, and I don't know why.
because I had an experience that I
You
think,
did.
like, yeah, when my parents divorced, my mom moved me to Atlanta. And so I was in Atlanta from 7 to 13. And then I moved back to the small town. Well, when I came back, my dad said to me, small town's not going to hold you anymore.
Mhm.
You've already seen the other. So you can't unsee it.
Yeah.
You're going to leave at some point. And I was like, you're crazy. I'm never leaving Bowden, Georgia. I love Bowden. And I still love Bowden. I love when I go home. I go, oh, this is so amazing.
Yeah.
But he's right. I got cabin fever
Yeah.
in that small town. Tried to go to Atlanta, still had cabin fever, ended up moving to New York.
Wow.
And when I got to New York, I was like, this might be a little too big for me.
Right.
So I moved to LA and I was like, this might fit just right. I
Right.
just needed a little more independence. Even though New York's a very independent town in a certain way,
Mhm.
you are really dependent on each other in a different way in New York than you are here.
We're a little more spread out in LA. It is. It's
Yeah.
a big city, but we got a little more elbow room.
We do. And when I got here and I started making friends.
Yeah.
That was really my litmus test. I wasn't holding on to friends. I wasn't making friends anywhere. Even in New York, I made one friend and I was there 4 years and I was like, oh, maybe I should have more than just one. I mean, I had friends, but not like what happened in LA.
Right.
Like what happened in LA and I was like, okay. Like I met you and Jocelyn playing tennis. How many years ago was that? 17 years ago?
Yep.
We don't talk to each other all the time, but I call you both my friend.
Yeah.
And if you needed something, I would hope you would know you could call me. And the reverse is true.
Right.
I never felt that in New York in the same way. And I felt it in my small town because that's the way small towns are.
Right.
But yeah, I had that time in Atlanta. And I think that time in Atlanta, it just changed me.
Yeah.
And I couldn't stay in the small town anymore. I couldn't make myself happy there. But you didn't have anything like that.
No, but I always just kind of knew I needed to go. I just knew. I just kind of always knew. Like, I just wanted to. And then when I would go back when I was younger, like in college, I couldn't wait to leave. I was like, I can't be here. But I don't feel that way anymore. Like when I went back in August, I'm like, I could see myself. I would love to have another house up there.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I have the one with my family, but if Joe and I could get one, he's not as big of a fan because he thinks the winters are really severe up there, which they are.
Yeah.
It's about 6 solid months of snow, which is a lot different than here. Yeah. But the summers are great.
Yeah.
And they're beautiful. And yeah, I miss Montana.
You do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see how you couldn't miss Montana.
Yeah.
I miss Georgia and Alabama. I miss it. But we go back every year for 2 weeks, about 2 weeks in the summer. And by the end of the 2 weeks, I'm like, okay, I can go home.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm starting to want to go back and see my dad more often. Like he
Yeah.
comes here 3 times a year and then we go back there for 2 weeks in the summer. So we see him like every quarter, basically.
Right.
But, 74. And I'm starting to think maybe I should
I know.
I should go back.
Scared. Yeah.
another
Yeah.
time or two a year. You never know. We just, my good friend Sandy just lost a really close family friend who was in his mid 70s, just died in his sleep. Completely healthy guy, walks 5 miles a day, does his checkups regularly, takes good care of his health. Just passed away this week. And it makes you go, there's that little voice again that says, maybe you should just take a long weekend and go to Georgia. Stay Friday night, Saturday night, come home Sunday.
Right. Let's go check in.
Yeah, see, not just my dad. The way I grew up, my dad's parents all grew up in the same little community. So both of my grandparents are one of 8. So I knew all of my great aunts and uncles and all of my dad's generation and all of my generation just on my dad's side of the family. And my mom's side of the family has a lot of people in it too. And they're like 5 miles from my dad.
Mm-hmm.
So I have all these people that are aging out. And I'm like, the last time I saw them was like 15 years ago. Maybe I should go to one of these off the beaten path family reunions and see everybody for a little bit. It means something different now than it did before.
Mm-hmm.
I saw my dad's cousin, not this past summer, the summer before. She came down and spent the weekend with us. And she was an adult when I was a kid, but a young adult. And she was always so fun. And I hadn't seen her in so long. And we, again, just had so much fun. And I thought my kids are going to think this is so lame. They loved her.
Okay.
They asked her if she could come back this past year. And she's, in their eyes, she's an old lady, but she's family.
Yeah.
And it's so cool to see all this family. And I don't know. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. I'd like to go back more often just for little short trips here.
Would you ever get a house back there?
It's a good question. I would. You could buy a house for very inexpensive in my dad's hometown. And I have thought about that because I think, there may be times when I need to go back there more often. I hope he's in good health until he's 95.
Right.
But you never know. And he has a lake house there that he and his sister and brother own together. And that's where we usually stay when we go there. It's in Alabama, but it's about a half hour from his house, which is another half hour from the local healthcare, anything. So, I have thought about that a bit. Just buy some old, fun.
Yeah, just have it.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Just in case. It's not a bad plan, Amanda.
Thank you. Thanks,
well, thank you for coming and talking to me today.
Yay, I'm so excited I came.
I am too. Are you coming to my ornament exchange?
I could have come on Sunday. I can't come on Sunday.
Are you kidding?
No, I know. I was like so excited. I was like, yes, I can come Sunday.
I know.
But then,
it's Isla's fault. It's her drum recital.
It got changed. It is Sunday?
At 2. Well, she told me it was at 5, but now she has to be there at 2.
Oh.
And then I have to be there earlier too. And I was like, this is too hard for me.
I love that she plays the drums.
And I have nothing. I have nothing on Saturday. Nothing all day or night.
I get it.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to shift it to Saturday and make my life easier.
I don't even know. I haven't talked to Jocelyn. Is she coming?
No idea.
But I'm definitely coming on New Year's. I'm very excited for that.
Well, put your dancing shoes on. It's outside, so it's going to be cold.
Do people dress up? Are you going to dress up at all or no?
I hadn't even thought about it.
Okay.
I just thought about dressing warm.
Okay.
Warm and dance.
Okay. Warm and dance. I can do that.
Yeah. Warm and dance. Yeah. I don't know. I haven't even thought about that. I've got like 8 parties to get through before then. Because, I have the ornament exchange that I host every year for people who are listening. I've hosted a ladies ornament exchange luncheon. This is the 19th year in a row.
So much fun.
It's so fun. Everybody brings an ornament. We exchange. We have lunch. It's just ladies. Georgia asked me since she's 18 if she could be included in it this year. And I said, yeah. Totally.
Awesome.
So she's going to be a guest.
I love that I always see the same ladies.
Well, it's because I have some ride or dies.
I love it.
And I invite those ride or dies. My friend Margaret, who's been on the podcast, lives on the other side of the airport. I never see her except that day. My friend Marta lives on the other side of the airport. Never see her but that day. My friend Christine lives in Marina Del Rey. Never see her but that day. Because we're all so busy. It's not about not wanting to see anybody. So that's when I had kids, when I got pregnant, I went, you know what? I'm going to make a day that's non-negotiable every year, that I invite all these people, these women that mean something to me, so that I can say, you mean something to me, and I'm sorry I can't see you more often. But I don't know how I would get down to see the ladies that live, south of the airport. I don't know how I'd ever get it done. Now that I'm about to be an empty nester in a couple of years, I could see it more now. But the past 18, 20 years, there's no way. I mean, just kids and Girl Scouts and work, it's just too hard. So
you and Jocelyn used to do dinners every once in a while.
We
gotta
did.
Get back to doing that. And every once we'd invite Annie and
Cotty.
Yeah. I miss that.
I'd do it again.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Okay.
Especially because you know what I do at night? Nothing. I'm busy till night, and then I got nothing. And I'm like, what am I going to eat? I don't know. What am I going to watch on TV and by myself? I'm so down for dinner.
Okay.
Office hours is harder. But dinner?
Dinner's perfect.
Well, let's plan a dinner soon.
Yeah, let's do like a new restaurant that we all want to try.
I would love that.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Amanda.
You're welcome.
I'm so glad you came and talked to me.
Thank you.
About both things, about the dog and the Lake Arrowhead. I appreciate it. And,
2020, my year.
Oh, I'm telling you, it was nobody's year that year.
It was awful.
It was a bad
Pandemic
year.
was horrible.
But I think you get a medal for a little extra bad.
Thanks, friend.
Well, hi to Joe, okay?
Okay.
All right. I'll see you soon.
Bye.